Welcome everyone to Level 857 Video Game Podcast, the highest level for raw, unfiltered gaming commentary for the more mature gamer.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this right now, you can tell just by watching, our beer selections to know that it's for the more mature gamer.
We like beer.
That's only for people who are watching. It's only for people who are watching.
Cheers.
Yeah, or immature, it's fine.
If you're immature, you can still watch the podcast. We're not going to discriminate. With your host, Turbo 857.
Sticks.
Algae 857.
The 23rd Stallion.
And your boy, Big Choco. What up?
All right. So, if you don't know, today's a very, very special show. We got something special for you.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys know to watch Wednesdays live, 8 o'clock p.m. Well, actually, every other Wednesday. That's when Level 857 Video Game Podcast is going to be streaming on Twitch. But we're also available on all podcasting services. Radio Public is what you want to listen to if you want to give us the most support, so make sure you remember that. And make sure you follow us on all of our social media accounts, because as soon as one of those hits 500 subscribers or followers, we're going to be doing a hot sauce challenge, seeing which one of us is going to be able to take the heat. Hot sauce on the wings. It's going to be the bomb hot sauce. I think I'm going to be the winner.
Nope.
Probably not.
But subscribe to the channel, because we got people joining every single day, so get on that.
That's right, baby.
All right.
And so, without further ado, we bring you the man, the myth, the legend, with over 30 years of experience in the game industry, countless eclectic video game soundtracks. You may catch him rocking out on a stage near you or touring worldwide with his orchestrated concert, Video Games Live. He now has Super Saiyan-like power as the president of Intellivision Entertainment, Tommy Tallarico.
I've been waiting 2 months to say that. You guys.
All right, Tommy, how's it going?
Yeah, man.
Great. Well, thanks for having me on. Hey, before we begin, though, I got to get everybody's name here. So I've been watching you guys now for about the past couple weeks, but I got to get the names down. So can we go from like left to right? Like start with
Start right here.
two at a time. Douche. He's got the shirt. Look at that, people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Real name is.
So you got to introduce me to you so I know your name.
Yeah, that's right. Real name is Eric, but I go by the 23rd Stallion.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to call you Eddie Gordo.
Done.
Okay.
My name's an easy one. It's Alvin, but you can call me the Algae 857.
I'm going to call you Drake, but okay.
Yes. There we go.
I get it all the time. I get it all the time, man. I really don't.
Look at that. That's like a G.I. Joe beard. You ever have a G.I. Joe when you were growing up?
Yeah.
The shit was like so perfect.
Yeah.
My man works on his beard. It's props for that.
Thanks.
Okay, next up, Dr. Dre.
My name is Jason, and I go by Sticks.
Sticks. Okay, my man. And then, okay, go ahead.
Kevin, Turbo 857.
Now, okay, well, I'm picking up a little Chris Brown vibe here, but
Singing.
But only in looks. That's a good thing. That's a compliment. I'm not saying you beat your wife.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I was just about to say, not like a Rihanna, Chris Brown.
No, not in a like Rihanna kind of Me Too way. I'm talking about just, not,
She
my
beats
man
him,
here,
though.
I'm not going to mess with him because I want him on my side in my corner.
Yeah.
So what?
And this is your boy, Eric, also known as Big Chocolate.
Awesome. Big chocolate. I like that.
You will never forget that.
Yes.
Never.
I would have came up with that one on my own. So that's it. All right. I would have said, yeah, that's Big Chocolate. You said, that's right.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. So thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for giving us your time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we waited a long time for this, man. So,
Well, I got to ask, when did you do that shirt for this show today, or did you?
Absolutely.
Okay. I just didn't know if you made that
I've been
like 10
thinking about
years
it
ago.
for a long time, and I'm like, I'm gonna get this done for the show. Fuck that. Hell yeah.
and if you can't see it, explain them what it is.
Yo, it's just your head on Kratos' body with the two girls, and it says 2 at a time. Good, these.
You got to send me that JPEG.
And just for those who don't know, we've been doing this meme. We've been doing this before memes were even around.
Yeah.
So I would say when you guys did the on Electronic Playground, when you guys did the review.
Electric Playground, yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Electric Playground.
Electric Playground.
You did the review for God of War. And,
God of War, yeah.
And you said 2 at a time, these when they were talking about
The two girls when you
The sex scene.
Yeah.
So we've been saying that since the release of that.
Yeah.
Till
2005.
2005 till now.
Yeah, that's been
That's hilarious.
been an inside joke at our place for the longest time. No matter what, it's always been.
Yeah.
Oh, you got 2 at a time, these all the time.
No one
always been saying.
No one's known what the heck we were talking
You do it
about.
better than I do.
He's had a lot of practice.
A lot of practice.
Absolutely.
So just a quick question: where did that?
That would have been when did God of War come out? That would have
was
been
2005.
11 years ago.
2000.
Yeah. Around that. Yeah.
2005. That's 14
2000.
years ago.
So we've
Wow,
been waiting
A
forever to
long
ask
time
you.
to carry on a joke.
yeah. And still
I
going.
love it.
So we've been waiting to ask you, where did that come from? And
Well,
how did Vic take that on the show? Because he looked
He looked so uncomfortable.
he looked uncomfortable when you were
See,
doing
that
it.
was that was my whole plan. Whenever I would do the show, we started the show in 1994, and it started airing in 95. And I was on it for 12 years. I had to leave in 2007 because I had started Video Games Live at that point, and I had the music and sound design career in the game industry. I had started the Game Audio Network Guild, a nonprofit organization to help composers and sound designers in the game industry. And then also now, doing the TV show and then Video Games Live. So I was on there for 12 years. And my whole purpose of being on the show was to make Vic feel as uncomfortable as possible. That was my goal. Going in, we didn't have scripts. We didn't, it was just like you guys. It's just like friends talking about games, And I think that's why it worked. This is before YouTube, before all that stuff, as you know. We were the original OG Siskel and Ebert of gaming. I
was watching that before it came on G4.
Yeah.
But But G4 was 2002, I think it started. But
right.
we were doing it in 94, 95.
Yeah.
And that particular thing, and it's funny because Vic's like the polite Canadian. And he really is like that in person. He's a super nice guy, super polite, always conscious of, people's feelings and stuff like that. And so he's the super, Canadian, polite Canadian. And I'm like the East Coast loudmouth Italian. And so it works because we have so much in common and so much respect for each other. Right. But we couldn't be more opposite on certain things, like certain games or certain politics or certain music or certain food. So it was already funny. But when you have that kind of respect for each other, you can give each other crap and it comes across not as uncomfortable to the audience.
Right.
It comes across as kind of funny and endearing. And so that was but we weren't like doing a shtick. We were just kind of like, but I knew if I could trigger him to be uncomfortable, I knew it made for great TV. And so Gadoosh Douche actually comes, if you want to know the secret, because no one's ever asked that before, it's something that Andrew Dice Clay would say.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Dice Man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so being an East Coast Italian back in the day, growing up, being a teenager, actually, I was older than a teenager, I think, when Dice first came out. Maybe not, maybe late teens. We recited that. Me and my brother would recite that line for line. So I think the Gadoosh Douche came from that. And when he was, explaining being with a woman. So I felt it was appropriate. 2 at a time. Yeah. So it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
All right. Yes,
That's
that
awesome,
was. We really wanted to know what that was.
Yeah,
about.
I was dying to know.
It's so awesome. So
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
So we're gonna get a little personal, if you don't mind, to start off.
Yeah,
this
do it.
thing.
Yeah.
The more controversial, the better.
Where were you? Where were you last night? No, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Is it controversial?
Yeah. I don't know.
Shannon, come up here. The guy's got a question for you.
Well, we'll start off a little simple and easy.
Yeah.
So we'll start over here.
I actually have a question for you. What's your favorite video game genre?
Genre? I think probably third party action or third person action adventure, Tomb Raider, Metal Gear, Uncharted.
Okay.
Shadow of the Colossus,
Okay.
Zelda,
Nice,
you know, that kind of that kind of vibe like that. Yeah, I'm not a big first person shooter
Not here either.
dude.
Neither.
Never mind.
But I always love you know,
Yeah.
Prince of Persia and
Sands of Time, amazing.
I mean, Shadow of the Colossus is one of my favorites. Beyond Good and Evil, if you guys remember that one.
Yeah,
that was
a
a
good
great
one.
game.
Okay, one.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So action adventure. And
Yeah.
who else wants to ask?
I have a personal question. Pretty similar to what Jay just said. If actually, this is probably one of the toughest questions anyone can answer. But off the top of your head, what is your favorite go-to game all time?
It's I'm going to answer it two ways, because if I was on a desert island and I had to play one game for the rest of my life, it would be different. That game would probably be like Red Dead.
Ooh.
Oh,
The first one,
First
not
one.
the second one.
Okay.
I like the first one better.
Revolver?
But
Red Dead Revolver.
but like, I thought Super Mario World as a
Ooh.
piece of art, as a piece of work from finish to end,
That's a good one.
was like one of the most perfect games on the Super Nintendo. Super Mario World. The graphics were ahead of its time. The
Yeah.
music by Koji Kondo. Miyamoto's a genius.
Yeah.
Every pixel was just, every jump was perfect, and it just felt so right. And so Super Mario World's probably I think the highest I would give a game. But I wouldn't bring that to a desert island, because once you get all the stars, then it's like the same old thing.
Pretty much done.
Whereas with Red Dead, sandbox game, you could kind of do a lot of different stuff. So that would be my answer. Shadow of the Colossus and Beyond Good and Evil are also up there. But,
awesome.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess I'll ask one. I've seen that you're a huge Spider-Man fan.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so how did you feel about when he was taken out of the MCU and then recently returned to?
Yeah, I knew they would work it out. There's too much money at stake. There was too much fandom backlash.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, they'll work it out. They got to work it out, because it's beneficial for both sides. It really is when you think about it, right? So, yeah, I mean, I was happy to see him. I think he's the best of the best. Tom Holland is just like, man. I mean,
Out of the
he's
three,
just
he's the best of you?
such a great. To me, he is. Yeah. I mean, I would rate him first, and then
They're not
the
Andrew
dude from the
Garfield.
Electric Company second.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Remember that Spider-Man in the 70s?
Oh yeah.
That was great.
But no, I list him first. I put Tobey Maguire third.
Third,
Okay.
really?
Actually, I
Yeah.
remember we spoke
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
wasn't
not mad
And
really
you know
a
what
fan
it
of
was?
Mhm.
I was okay with him. He was a little timid. He wasn't nerdy enough.
Mhm.
But by the third movie, when he all went emo, I'm
no,
like,
no.
Yeah.
I checked out.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Same here.
yeah.
That- I
And
mean,
it's not his fault.
It
I mean,
wasn't
he's
his fault.
But Spider-Man 2, though.
Spider-Man 2 was
Spider-Man
the
2
best
was
one.
With Doc Ock? Come on.
That's a lot of
It was
people's
definitely one of
favorite.
the best superhero movies ever, but
Yeah.
That's a
three
lot of people's
Yeah.
favorite.
three did
Spider-Man
damage.
too.
Three did a lot of damage.
Okay.
I just the whole play. I mean, just Tom Holland plays Peter Parker
Yes.
like Peter Parker from the comic book.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
Agreed.
young. He's kind of inexperienced.
Agreed.
He's funny. He's got the wit, but he's
Yeah.
kind of out of his league, out of his element at first. So I just love it.
Okay.
Agreed,
Okay.
man.
And you were drinking over there. What do you got?
My personal question is kind of tied to the controllers for the Amico.
Oh, well,
so
that's
I
a
kinda
personal
wanna-
question. Yeah, no, that's well. We're doing personal
You
questions
could
first.
do you guys have a lot of personal questions? So I don't want to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
into
let's get
the
into it. Let's
Amico
get
yet.
into it.
Okay, I have a personal question.
Yeah.
You seem to have an unyielding will to succeed. Do you
Yes.
have any advice for guys like us that are trying to get to the mountaintop?
Absolutely, that's a great question. And first of all, people who are successful never just like got there the easy route. People who
never a
made
straight
it on their own, right?
Mhm.
And so along the way, you got to look at the top of the mountain. You have to approach everything, and you have to see the top of the mountain. You say, okay, that is my goal, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter how many times you slip, how many boulders or barriers they put in your way. You just got to keep climbing. And all you have to think about is the top of the mountain, and no one's going to stop me. Nothing's going to stop. I don't care what the weather is. I don't care if rocks are falling on me. I'm going to make it to the top of that mountain no matter what. And you keep that positive attitude no matter what happens. And then what you'll find is that when you reach the top of the mountain, that mountain, your goal, that goal that you have, your vision, your dream, you'll be able to look around and go, holy crap, I'm on the top of this mountain. I worked my butt off and I know I can do anything now. I have that confidence. I always knew I could do it. I worked hard. I did it. And then you're at the top of the mountain and then you're looking around and seeing all these other mountains.
And you start climbing.
You have that confidence and go, you know what? I can go climb that mountain, or I can climb that mountain, and I can climb that mountain. So the whole thing, keeping a positive mental attitude is so, so important. And I'd recommend for all you guys or anyone listening to this, go check out it. I think it's free on Netflix. And I know you can watch it on YouTube. It's a documentary. It was based on a book, but it's called The Secret.
Oh,
I read that book.
We're all familiar with it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Okay, you gotta, but here's the thing. A lot of people read The Secret, right? And it talks about, like, my vision board sitting right here. You gotta think it and feel it every day. You know, so it's like, it's one thing to watch the thing. Millions of people watch that show, right? Watch that movie. But how many people actually listen to it, what it's saying every single day, not every other day? You wake up in the morning and you stare and you say, okay, I'm envisioning myself where I'm going to be in a year or where I'm going to be in 2 years or whatever. You can't stop doing that. It can't be at the, like, for me personally, like, I'll put a picture like on my cell phone, right? Like this, I'm a big Ferrari guy, a Ferrari collector. And so I have my next Ferrari that I want. I put it as my background picture on my phone. So every single day I look at my phone, boom, my goal's right there, whether it's conscious or subconscious, you know, and that's a material thing, of course, but on my vision board here that I look at every day, you know, it has, you know, Intellivision Amico, it has all of the goals, all of the things I want to accomplish. I think about it every day and I focus on it. So that'd be my, that'd be my advice. Never give up. And you'll get to the top of that mountain, because you have to understand, 1 million other people are trying to get there too. Everybody who walks around this universe or walks around this planet, they all have a dream. Everybody has a dream inside, but the difference between the 1% that makes it and the 99% who don't is that those 1% wanted it more. And they never, ever gave up. So don't ever listen to anyone who says, oh, he was lucky, or, oh, you need to have luck. Screw that. There's no such thing as luck. You can create your own luck. You can create your own, when things happen, you can be there at the right time in the right moment, but you have to know how to react and how to talk to someone or sell yourself in that moment. That's not luck though, right? You can create your own circumstances. So forget luck, throw it out the window, and you just work at it every day and never take no for an answer, ever.
I believe that because this whole interview actually happened. You know, we were actually talking before. We were like, wouldn't it be cool if Tommy just responded to one of our tweets of, you know.
And it happened, right? There you go. Perfect. You visualized it and it happened. That's what The Secret's all about. You got to live by it. Live by it. It's fun. It's fun to visualize yourself behind the wheel of a Ferrari. You know? That's fun.
And the funny thing is, when we were having that conversation, I'm like, it all started with Gadij Deej. That's some crazy shit right there.
It all goes down to Gadij Deej. It all comes
Two at
down.
a time, bringing people together.
I love it. All comes around.
Okay,
That's awesome.
that's definitely inspiration. I got
with Tommy Tallarico.
I got another question for you. Okay, so if you guys don't know, Tommy is a very, very talented musician. So what is it? Of all the paths that you can choose or could have chose in a music career, what inspired you to scoring video games, and what creative process what is the creative process you do when creating a video game soundtrack? Do you start with the drum pattern or melody? That was
great question.
Yeah, that
so
was my question.
For me, my two greatest loves growing up were always video games and music. Those are my two greatest loves. And my grandfather always told me, whatever you choose as your career, choose something that you love to do, because then it will never feel like work. Yep. Right. Yeah. And so for me, the reason I was so into music was my cousin is Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. His real name is Steven Tallarico. And so I would see him, on the side of his, the families usually, would stand on the side of the stage. And I was 8 years old or whatever, seeing him perform to like 20,000, 30,000 people. Wow. And to me, he was just cousin Steven. So I'd look at it, I'd look out and I'd go like, oh, wow, that looks like a fun job. That's what I want to do. Like I never thought it was some impossible dream. It was just like, that's his day job or whatever. So I was always into the music thing, inspired by Steven. And then of course video games. And to me, video games, especially growing up in the 70s and 80s, video games to me were something that when I think of video games, I think of my childhood and spending time with my mom and dad and my little brother and my best friends from back in the day, getting to get like some of my fondest memories. We'd go on trips and we'd go to different things, but some of my fondest like day-to-day memories is playing video games with my family, with my friends, and that's really the whole basis of why, I created Amico and what our focus is to kind of bring that back. But yeah, that's how I got into it. I combined my two greatest loves. But for the other question about how I go about composing, I'm probably a little different than most people in that I never went to school for music. So I just learned to play by ear. I was playing piano when I was 3, guitar by the time I was 5. And I would just like copy music I would listen to. So I'd copy Beethoven on the piano or Elton John or Billy Joel. And then I would, on guitar, I was in 1977 or 78, I was 10 years old and Van Halen's first album came out. So I was copying Van Halen and Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin and Boston. And that's how I'd kind of learn how to play guitar. So for me, when I sit down to create a soundtrack to a video game, what I'll do is I just play the game with no audio. And I just play it and I just wait for stuff to pop into my head.
Oh, wow.
Like I'm focused, I'm concentrating on what would sound really cool here. If I could have I think anyone can do this. Anyone can just turn the sound off on a game or in a movie and start imagining what would be the most epic, cool music to hear during that scene. Right. And then once I get, and there's a lot of crap. Oh no, that sucks. That was okay. And then you'd get that one like, oh my God, that'd be so awesome. Then I run to my piano and try to figure out what I'm hearing in my head. So I'll sit there for 10, 15 minutes, just tapping on notes, playing by ear, going, oh, what do I do in my head? Or sometimes I'll go up to a computer that has a whole orchestra on it and figure, all that stuff out. But for me, I typically do the percussion last because you specifically mentioned percussion. Yes. I kind of do that at the end because percussion, you can layer so much stuff. Yeah. And it's a different type of music. I'd say for like rock and roll, you kind of do the drums last. For orchestral music, you'd kind of do the drums last. Okay. But certain music, like a lot of rhythm and blues or rap music, would maybe start with the groove first and the beat first. So it really depends on the style of music. But mostly the stuff I do, orchestral and rock, is mostly either guitar, piano, or strings first. That's what I hear in my head. Okay. Sometimes brass. Okay. And so I start with that and then start filling everything in after that.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay,
nice.
Cool.
That's interesting.
I got a quick story about the music thing too. So
I was gonna say something.
Okay. But a quick thing. You may not remember, but it was probably about year 2000 or so, or maybe 1999 or something. It was a long time ago, and I was on a message board, and you happened to be on that message board. And
was it a porn site?
It might have.
Yes, it was.
Two at a time. It was called douche.com.
It might have been, but
Or as Don King says, .com gadoosh douche.
if you haven't seen that, look that up on YouTube.
Oh my goodness,
guys.
I gotta leave a link.
Still
on that.
can't hear
We got
us.
the link.
Yeah, you got to put that.
We'll put the link.
Go just put in YouTube, put in Tommy Tallarico, Don King,
Oh
and then
my
watch,
God.
And then
watch that uncut, unaired video of me interviewing Don King. It's comedy
man.
I
gold.
watched it like 6 times.
But it was a song. I asked you if you would. I told you about "Falling" from Earthworm Jim, which is one of my favorite tracks.
Oh,
Yeah, the bungee level.
Yes, what he's dropping, and it's still one of my favorite tracks
it's
in all
amazing.
video game history. So,
Oh wow, cool, thanks.
but you're welcome. But I asked if you had the MP3 for it because it was way before. Like this is even before Napster, and it was not easy to get a track like
Right.
that because this is
Yeah.
not on Spotify or anything like that. But now it is. But you sent it to me.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, you sent it to me, and that
Sounds
was
like
awesome.
something I would do.
Yeah, so I like to say thanks because that was an awesome gesture. So thanks.
Oh, cool. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. No, I like to get in and mix it up, right? I mean, and sometimes I get crap for it. Sometimes people are like, shut up. You shouldn't say anything. You should just focus on this or focus on, it's like, hey, look, I want to, I feel like I'm not above anyone else. I'm a fan just like everybody's a fan of this stuff. Yes, I make it and create it, but I'm also a fan of it too. And so I'm not allowed to like go on message boards or make comments on YouTube or, if somebody says something nasty about me, I'm like, you know what? I'm listening. And fuck you, no, no, but
That's fine.
but so what? I'm not allowed to do that. Like I don't have feelings, or I'm supposed to just, So it's like, so I like to kind of go on there sometimes to maybe teach people a lesson too. Some negative people.
Yeah.
Oh, blah 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 blah. And it's like, look, if we met in person, you wouldn't be saying
not at all.
the stuff
No.
you're saying.
Of
Give me a
course.
break,
Seriously.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And but I always try to be cordial with people, no matter how hateful they are or negative they are. But that being said, I don't mind mixing it up and getting my hands dirty because I'm a fan just like everybody else, and so. But people are surprised sometimes when they see me comment on and I try to comment mostly. I try to focus on the positive stuff,
Right.
mostly,
Yeah.
But I'm saying every once in a while there might be a little thing, and I'll talk back to them. Hey, thanks for the compliment, jerk, or whatever. But I try to always focus on the positive. But I'll get involved. Why not? Why shouldn't I?
Absolutely.
How many people from G4 do you still keep in contact with?
That was
Let me see. Well, I'm still very good friends with Vic. There was a guy I talked to Jeff Keighley once in a while.
Oh, shoot.
I'm good friends with Kevin Pereira.
Yeah, Pereira.
Yeah.
What up, Kev?
Tom Russo was somebody who was a producer of the show, and then he would take over for me every once in a while. So I'm good friends with Tom as well, because he's actually, his company's working on, he's one of the developers working on a game for us.
Oh, nice.
For Amico. But who else? I'm trying to think who else back there. I really don't see too many folks. You know who I ran into, not this past E3, but the E3 before was Tina from G4 TV.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
No, the reason
Yeah.
why we asked you because we're actually we were trying to do this a while ago, but we were talking about doing a G4 tribute podcast.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why we asked, because we're like, wow, how cool would it be if we did, we're
I
huge
could
fans of the show.
get a hold of Tina. She probably knows a lot. She probably stays in, because one of the things is that me and Vic were never internal at G4.
Yeah.
We were the only show on the entire network, and we had two shows. We had Judgment Day
Right.
and Electric Playground.
Right.
And Judgment Day up in Canada was known as Reviews on the Run.
Mhm.
And so those two shows were the only two shows that weren't done internally at G4. So me and Vic were a little bit on the outside, although, we would get together for gatherings and meet everyone. But everybody else kind of worked with each other and saw each other every day. Whereas, Vic and I were only, we'd pop in like every couple months or whatever. So because we were just producing shows, in Vancouver, and they would, that's where Vic's company is. And he would just, be cranking them out 2 a week. 2 at a time.
There we go. Keeping that joke alive.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So let's get into what everybody is looking forward to here, and let's talk about the Intellivision Amico.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, wait.
So,
oh, never mind. I thought, because I had another question, but I'm like, you know what? I can ask you that later.
Okay.
Okay. So who wants to start off with the questions?
Actually, I could start off this. This is actually a question, a personal question, but it also goes into the Amico as well.
Great.
The question is,
We're going out of order.
and I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this, but how was it working with Richard Branson at Virgin Interactive, and do you, like, if it's positive or negative or whatever it is, if it's positive, obviously, do you emulate or try to emulate his leadership skills in being as president of Intellivision?
That's a great question. So yes, I had a very, very positive experience with Richard Branson. I think he's one of the greats of all time, especially for business.
Right.
And I think one of the things that he showed me, I think it was probably my first exposure to someone so successful running a company, but he would get involved with, it doesn't matter if you were the janitor, the president, or anyone in between, he would stop to talk to you. He wanted to know how you were doing, this and that. I didn't get to see him a lot because he was based over in London. But one of the things to remember about Richard Branson is that he started his Virgin Empire selling music door to door. Right.
Yeah.
So one of his big loves was Virgin, and of course he started Virgin Records and all that. And so because I was like the music guy doing cutting edge MIDI stuff and video games in the early 90s, whenever he would come in the office, whenever he'd come to the Virgin headquarters in Irvine, California, which oddly enough is about 2 blocks from where Intellivision is, and we have a lot of the people who worked there back in the day working at Intellivision now. That's awesome. And so he would come in. He goes, "Where's Tommy? Where's Tommy?" And he would come and he would sit down with me because he was always interested in the kind of the music and the technology. And then. Gosh, I have so many Richard Branson stories. But just to give you an idea, like when I was going to go out on my own, so I worked at Virgin from like 1990 to 94. Right. And then by 94, the guys who worked on Aladdin, they all left to form Shiny and start Earthworm Jim. Yeah. And so I was working at Virgin, and then I was getting calls like EA, because I had won Best Music of the Year award 4 years in a row. So EA was calling me, and Capcom was calling me, and Namco was calling me, and everybody under the sun was calling me, Activision, and they wanted me to leave Virgin and go work for them. Wow. And so, it was David Perry, actually, the programmer of Aladdin, Earthworm Jim. He's the guy who created cloud gaming, basically, raised $50 million with his company Gaikai, sold it to Sony for $380 million. It basically became PlayStation Now. That was Dave Perry. I was the best man at his wedding. He was the best man at my wedding. We've best friends for 30 years. And he's one of the co-founders of the new Intellivision with me as well. That being said, we have 4 people at Intellivision who started there in 1981. Wow. So it's still the same company. It's just kind of, some of us new guys came in to rejuvenate. But I'll give you an idea of Richard Branson, how cool he is. when everyone was trying to pull me out of Virgin, I said, you know what? I really should start my own company. That's what Dave said. He goes, just go work for all of them. Like, you don't have to leave one and go work. Start your own.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. And I was so afraid and nervous because Virgin had given me my start, right? I was homeless. I don't know if you know my story or not, but I grew up in Massachusetts and, you know, very tight, close Italian family. And I'm the youngest son, youngest boy, youngest child. And I left my parents crying on a doorstep you know, because I was the first one out of the house, and now I'm going to California, 3,000 miles away. And I just went by myself. I had no job, no place to stay, no friends, no money. I'm just like, I'm going to California and I'm going to make it and nothing's going to stop me. Wow. And I got my little 2-seater car and I drove out west. My mom's crying. My dad's tearing up. You know, it's really emotional, especially, again, coming from a close Italian family, right? And when I got there, I was homeless. I was sleeping under a pier at Huntington Beach. And I the first day I was there, I saw a newspaper. I picked it up and I saw a job for selling keyboards at Guitar Center. So I went down there the first day I got to California and I said, hey, I want this job. I can sell anything. And they're like, okay, kid, start tomorrow. And I only had 3 t-shirts with me and a pair of jeans. Wow. And one of the t-shirts I had, now keep in mind this is 1990. One of the t-shirts I had was a TurboGrafx 16 t-shirt, which had like not even come out in America yet. Wow. And the way I got this shirt is I always used, because I was so passionate and loved video games, I'd read every video game magazine. Well, one of the game magazines, I think it was Electronic Games or something, had a thing in it where this company from Japan, TurboGrafx, is going to be at like this fair in Toronto. And so I had this was the previous summer before I left for California. Right. I had my poor mom drive me like 8 hours up to Toronto just so I could stand in line. She wants to go on the rides with her son and everything. I'm like, no, we got to stand in this line for 2 hours, play TurboGrafx. Wow. And then they wanted to know what I thought about it. So they were kind of doing like free focus testing, bastards. And so I filled out this form. And because I did that, they gave me a TurboGrafx 16 shirt. And to me, this was like the greatest trophy in the planet. Right. You got to remember, this is before Hot Topic, before .coms. You know, this is, no one had video game t-shirts back then. So the first day of work, my second day in California, homeless, I wear my TurboGrafx t-shirt. Wow. First person who walked in was a guy who worked for Richard Branson, and they were starting Virgin Video Game Company right down the street. Wow. He saw my shirt. He's like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? Like you know, how did you get that shirt? How do you know about?" And I said, "I know everything about video games. Give me a job." He said, "Okay," and I was hired as the very first game tester. And that's a perfect example, like I was saying before about the whole luck thing. Mm-hmm. People were like, people might say, "Oh, you were so lucky that guy walked in." Are you kidding me? Right. Was it lucky that I cried myself to sleep every night, 2 weeks straight, driving out to California, missing my parents, not knowing if I was going to live or die the next day, not having any money, taking the risk, taking all that shit, living out in the streets?
You put yourself out there.
You know, is that lucky? Jesus. Was that lucky? Bullshit, right? I created my own luck, right? Work. So, and so I was very, very fortunate to have Richard Branson and Virgin and those people who hired me like in my life. And so now I want to leave them. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm just like, I felt so crappy about it. Well, Richard Branson, we were in Las Vegas at, this was before E3. We used to be at CES. That's where the video game industry was before it got its own show in the US. And I remember talking to him. I'm like, Richard, I need to talk to you about something, Mr. Branson. And I said, look, I've won all these awards and people are calling me and they're trying to get me to go work for them. But, you know, I'm kind of thinking like I should start my own company and you know, but honestly, like I'd feel bad that I'm leaving you leaving your company and your team because you guys gave me my thing and I just don't feel right about it. Right. And he looked me straight in the eye and he put his hand right on my shoulder and he says, look, he goes, Tommy, if you don't start your own company, I'll be upset at you.
What?
So that's that. And he said, but on one condition,
that's awesome.
You have to sign a 2-year contract with us that we get first right of refusal on you anytime we want to do the music for us. Really? So we're going to be your first client.
Oh, that's freaking awesome.
That's a dope ass deal.
You start your own company and you have
that's Richard Branson.
Wow,
that's great.
Yeah, I've read stories about that, but I wanted to hear it, from somebody that actually, experienced.
No, he's a great guy. He's obviously a great guy. Wow,
that's awesome.
All right, so let's get into this.
This
controversy. No.
We have questions.
Can I? And let me start by saying, guys, too, that like I saw your first video, which is why I reached out to you, and I just wanna commend you guys because you guys had questions, you had concerns, but you guys didn't know me except for Gadush Dush, but we never met, right?
Yeah.
But you guys, and I wish more YouTubers and podcasters were like this, but you guys had questions, but you were very respectful, and and I could just tell by your voice, it's like, gosh, I hope this is successful. Like you want it to succeed, and there's so many others out there that are like, oh my god, stupid idea, this is gonna fail, blah 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 blah. And it's like, why, if you love video games, why would you want to see anything fail? Like, is your ego need that much stroking that you can tell somebody a year from now, oh, I was right, seriously, I called it right? Like, wouldn't you? It's like the same thing. Like, there's so much hate for GameStop. Right? Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, GameStop's going to go out of business. They suck, blah, blah, blah. GameStop, screw them. They're going to be. And I'm like, why would you want the only national video game chain? And all they do is video game. Okay, do they have some issues and problems? And maybe some people had some bad experience. Okay, fine. But they're a multi-million-dollar company. Of course, you can't get it right every time. But for crying out loud, people, they're the only place national chain that sells video games, and you want them to fail and go away?
It's like
I don't understand the thinking. So I just wanted to send out some gadush dushes to you guys to say I appreciate how you approached it. It was cautious but positive, and so I loved it, and I wish more people would approach things the way you guys do. So I just wanted to give you props for that. I'm not trying to kiss your ass. I don't have to.
No, that means a lot, man.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That means a lot.
Well, Tommy, one second, to go off the point you just made. You remember when, you understand how big of a failure the Wii U was for Nintendo, and when the Switch
big failure, but it sold 15 million units. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I was
if that's what a failure is, I want to fail.
Seriously, and it's like,
but it was a failure on the bigger stage. Yes.
Yeah, and when the Switch was first revealed, not everybody was like, oh, this is the greatest thing. Some people were like, Nintendo, you need to get out of the home console. You need to get out of the console business. Period. And just walk away.
What are you thinking now?
And look what happened to it. So it was just.
I think the biggest one was the Wii. The Wii was the biggest red flag. Actually, me. I was like, they're crazy. They're done. They're going to go by the way of Sega. Like, this is insane. And it ends up being the third biggest selling home console of all time. So I'll be the first one to admit, before it came out, I was wrong. I was like, oh, I didn't see it coming. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I was just saying, like, people were wrong about the Switch, and now you see, see the way it is. So it's just like, I see the Intellivision, I'm just like, no, I see a lot of potential in the console. Something for the family. I'm going to be a father soon, so I'm thinking to myself, I love video games, and I want to be able to share that with my daughter. When she gets older and stuff like that. Yeah. But I don't really want the first games that she plays to be like 3D games. Like, I want them to be cool.
I know. Roblox, Minecraft, even. Like, that's what that's what 7 and 8 year olds are on. That's like their first thing into gaming, and I mean, what you said right there, that is the essence of what I'm doing. I see this huge gaping hole in the video game industry. I walk around E3 and Tokyo Game Show and Gamescom every year for the last 10 years and go, Yeah, my mom and dad are still alive, and they're 78 years old, and I'm like, I can't play any of these games with my parents. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, there's not a single game I could play with my dad. I put a PlayStation 4 or Xbox controller in front of my dad. He goes into a freaking panic attack. Like, we used to play Intellivision baseball, me and my dad, all the time. Me and my mom would play Intellivision bowling. Me and my little brother would play hockey or Utopia or Frog Bog or Bump and Jump. I mean, that was like a daily thing for us. And that doesn't exist anymore. Now, are there exceptions to the rule? Absolutely. There's certain couch co-op games. But again, you look at what the more popular ones are. Super Smash Brothers. Really? Is my mom going to be playing Super Smash Brothers on the Switch?
Probably
no.
It's not
You
good,
know?
at least.
And so the first thing people will say is, oh, well, Tommy doesn't know about this game on the Switch or whatever, and we play this, and he's an idiot because he got. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, we are creating a machine that focuses on family and friends getting together. Every game has single player, but every game is more fun to play when the more people on the couch at the same time. We're not going to have multiplayer online because, multiplayer in the 21st century, when the internet snuck into gaming in the late 90s, multiplayer now meant a kid in a dark room with his headphones on, right? Yeah. And as we get older, and I'm a little older than you guys, I'm 51, what you'll find, guys, is that the older you get, your love for gaming isn't going to go away. But your time management, and again, like when you have you say a daughter or when you have your daughter
next week,
all your priorities are going to change, right? Yeah. And so when she starts to grow up, and then you're going to do this and that, you're not going to have 8 hours to spend on Red Dead 2. You know what I mean? Or Call of Duty or GTA, whatever. You know, you're not going to have that time anymore. And so when you do get a chance to play games, you're going to be by yourself because your wife's not playing Call of Duty with you. No. Your daughter's too young to play Fortnite. She's not going to be playing, right? So you're going to be in a room by yourself with your headphones on, trying to get in a couple hours of gaming. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to feel guilty. You're going to feel guilty because you spent 4 or 5 hours and your daughter's downstairs growing up, right? And so what we're doing at Intellivision, to break it down to like its DNA, we're not selling guilt. You don't feel guilty when you spend time with your friends and family. That's what we're selling. We're selling time with your friends and family. We're using technology to bring people back together, because technology in the 21st century has split families apart. People are always talking about, they don't want to give, their kids are getting too much screen time. And what happened, guys, is casual gaming. The Wii was unbelievable because it proved my point. Nintendo's already proved my point. That was 13 years ago. Can you believe it was that long ago? 2006. And when that came out, they proved my point, which is non-gamers or casual gamers will absolutely buy a home video game system as long as it's easy and fun to play, right? And what happened is, when the Wii started to fade out, because this is an important thing to know. Like, I was working on a lot of the original Wii titles. I worked with 5 years with Shigeru Miyamoto on Metroid Prime, and so what happened is, when the Wii came out and it shipped with Wii Sports, Nintendo caught lightning in a bottle. They never even realized, they didn't try to go out and sell these to nursing homes, but nursing homes were buying them. My mom bought one. Why? It wasn't to play Halo. It wasn't to play, the next God of War. It was. I'm going to slip it in as much as I can. It was to do this. to go bowling. It was one simple thing. They didn't need a $50 million blah blah blah. They just this, right? But what happened is Nintendo of America and Nintendo of Europe were screaming at Nintendo of Japan. They're like, hey, we're selling these things to grandmas in nursing homes. Let's do like a shuffleboard game, and let's do like card games. Again, this is before mobile and casual, right?
Yep.
Let's do all these casual games. And Nintendo of Japan, they're like, it's not what we do. We don't make we make games for our Nintendo fans. And by the way, I'm not trying to like disparage Nintendo. Nintendo is a great company, great content, and they know their audience better than any other video game company out there. They know their audience. That's why they're a $40 billion company, right? And so they didn't want to take their focus off their hardcores, right? So what did they do when the Wii came out? You had Metroid Prime, Smash Brothers, Pokemon, Pikmin, Mario, Zelda. They went right back to their wheelhouse.
It didn't even come
here's
with
a
Wii
crazy
Sports
stat
in
for
Japan.
you. A huge amount of people, I think it's like 30%, never purchased a game for the Nintendo Wii. They spent $249. My mom was one of them. You probably know people. And just to do this, right? And then what happened, guys, is that now that, they weren't really making shuffleboard and pool and darts, Nintendo first party or whatever, and all the other stuff that the other developers were making was like a bunch of shovelware, because their A teams and B teams were making games for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. So they'd throw like the C teams on the Wii, because everyone was like, this isn't going to be a big thing, this and that.
That was the
and
downfall.
But then what happened is casual then moved over to mobile, right?
Yep.
And when mobile happened, what's the problem with mobile? The biggest issue with mobile is
control.
Isolation.
No controller.
It's solitary. So every single casual game, true casual game, I don't want to say every single one, because again, people would be like, no, there's one.
There's always an exception.
No,
There's always an exception.
The majority of casual games
As words with friends.
are on mobile, and it's you and a screen.
I've never played a mobile game with somebody on my phone.
No,
In the same room.
It's like,
I have, but again, it's the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
It was like a board game.
Was it
type of
Jackbox?
thing. Yeah, it's something similar to
Similar
that.
to that.
It was similar to
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Jackbox thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, but even Jackbox is like adult content, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
So there's
yeah.
no
That's true.
family of four
Yeah, you're right.
sitting in their living room,
with their
Yeah.
phones.
all playing the same mobile game
No, you're right.
together.
You're right.
No more casual. So our whole goal is we're going to create amazing casual games that anyone can pick up and play, no matter what your skill level. So that was my big goal. I want a grandparent, because that's another big problem with the industry. You look at the industry, you play a game like Fortnite. If you're a non-gamer trying to play, and I love Fortnite, but if you're a non-gamer trying to play that game, the amount of time it takes you to get up to speed, it's not fun for a non-gamer.
No.
They'll never do it, and the controls are too
Can't figure it
complex
out.
and this
Yeah.
and that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a non-starter. And then, so that's the idea is I want a grandfather or grandparent to be able to play with their grandchildren and the mom or dad parent, and all have them playing together and all having the ability to beat the other person. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to sandbag. I don't want, because that's not fun.
Right.
And I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I'm left out and I'm getting beat all the time.
Right.
And that's what our Karma gaming engine is about, is that, like the person in last place, because remember, everybody's got a screen. Everybody's got a screen. I got a controller right here, boys.
Oh, hey.
Everybody has a screen. And remember, you can hook up to 8 mobile devices as well to the machine. But everybody has a screen. And so the person in last place, we can buzz their controller and they can look down and we can give them hints. Or we can, where to go next and where the bonus is going to come out or whatever. Or we can make the protagonist in the game attack the person in first, be a little more aggressive than the person in first place as opposed to the person in last place. So these kind of balancing, real time, on the fly, handicapping and balancing is kind of like a really kind of fun thing. So that's the goal, is that casual has gone away for couch co-op, and we're bringing it back.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay. That's very awesome.
So seeing
Now,
how you,
and I also just want to add one last thing to that, which is there's also single player games that hardcore gamers are going to love as well too.
Right.
okay,
So there is
okay.
that as well. Like, you don't have to have a room full of people. There's some really amazing, challenging games that hardcores are going to love as well. So I just want to throw that in too. It's not like it's not a kid's machine. It's
Right.
an everybody machine.
Okay.